Welcome to the EdgeBuilder Safety Training video number 2. In this video we will be covering the miter saw, or sometimes called the chop saw. The equipment used on our shop floor all uses 12-inch blades rotating at 3800 RPM. That means when cutting, the blade edge is traveling at more than 135 miles per hour. With hundreds of miter saw board cuts to be made per the work shift, being safe is important. At EdgeBuilder, employee safety is a priority. Each workstation is set up to safely accommodate a specific job function. This can only be possible when each employee embraces a high level of responsibility, not only their safety, but the safe operation of the workstation and fellow employees. The following are common sense EdgeBuilder worker policies. No drug or alcohol use. EdgeBuilder has a zero tolerance policy. Any employee found under drug and or alcohol influence will be terminated. Any medication prescribed by a doctor which could affect worker safety should be discussed with your supervisor. Any employee feeling ill during work hours should notify their work supervisor. Here are a few more common sense worker policies for EdgeBuilder. Safety glasses must be worn on the shop floor. Steel-toed shoes or boots are a requirement. Your shoes must also be of the non-slip variety and in good condition. Employees should avoid wearing loose clothing or jewelry that might get caught in the equipment mechanism, causing bodily damage. Ear protection is strongly recommended but not required. Miter saws on the factory floor perform many functions, including the main workstation for plate cutting. Several other stations are used for cutting blocking material, cutting 22-degree and 45-degree angles, and cutting lumber used to secure wall panels during shipping. In a typical work shift, it is not uncommon to make hundreds of board cuts using the miter saw. Let's walk through the safe use of the miter saw from beginning to the end of the wood cutting process. Starting with the main miter saw workstation, the process starts with a cut sheet, which is a work order document specifying the right type of lumber, the length, and how many boards to be cut. The cut sheet and wood to be cut is provided by the floor supervisor, who will position the bulk lumber near the saw for easy loading. From the cut sheet, the next step is to correctly input the length of the board to be cut into the TigerStop keypad and push the start button. When using the miter saw stations without the TigerStop, tape measurements and manual marking of the boards must be made. From the bulk lumber provided, the next step is to load individual boards on the saw table. Note in the example shown here how the board is safely dragged and dropped onto the saw table. This method is preferable to trying to lift the entire weight of the board yourself, and saves back strain as hundreds of boards must be moved through a daily work shift. Next is setting up the board for the cut. After checking to make sure the board is free of nails or screws, it is important to secure the end of the board against the TigerStop, as shown in this video. Any gap between the TigerStop and the board means it will be cut too short for its intended use. At the same time, the board should also be squared firmly against the saw fence. Proper positioning of your body and hands makes cutting on the miter saw easier and safer. Feet must be planted squarely on the ground. Never have any part of your body in line with the path of the saw blade. At EdgeBuilder, cross-arm cutting is strictly not allowed. Your hands should never be closer than 6 inches from the cutting saw and out of the path of the blade. Next, hold the board tight against the fence and saw table. Only then do you activate the trigger switch. Make sure the saw blade is running at full speed before pushing the blade through the wood. Never force the cut. Allow the blade to do the cutting. During the cutting process, it is important to be focused on the job at hand and not carrying a conversation with others. With the board cut, occasional measurement checks should be made to verify the board lengths. Boards need to be marked per the cut sheet so that the next station can properly identify them for assembly of subcomponents or wall modules. It is important to keep your workstation clean of debris as it creates a hazard for operating the machinery and as well as your personal safety. Pick up any debris on the workstation floor. Use the vacuum to clean debris from the saw table and blade area. As with any mechanical machine, there is a potential for the miter saw to break down. Should you notice any malfunction of any type, unplug the power cord from the wall and inform the floor supervisor there is a problem with the equipment. This completes the miter saw safety training video. At EdgeBuilder, employee safety is a priority. In this presentation, we reviewed the process of safely using the miter saw workstations and common sense EdgeBuilder worker policies. If you have any questions on the use of the miter saw workstation, please contact the floor supervisor.